Oh, good. Yo, don't Tretch again. Yo, if I see this fucking Tretch, if I mother
Boys, it is I. Got the new microphone. How do I sound, by the way? Let me know down in the comments. I don't have the arm yet, so I'm just awkwardly holding it right here. So, probably not going to stream with it, but definitely going to make YouTube videos. But that's irrelevant. Listen, boys. I don't want to come off as an overly negative person, right? So I love doing these wry rants, but I wanted to also limit how many I do them, because I feel like if I do too many of them, you know, people will think I'm just an overly negative person and all I do is bitch and complain. Well, you know what? I do want to bitch and complain, because what the fuck is going on here? Did Konami like fuck TTH's wife and now they feel guilty and don't want to do anything? What is going on? Those clips that you just saw were from today's tournament, post ban list, with the ban list intact. Treacherous trap hole sacking people 2 games in a row to make them lose a best of 3. Let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Why is Treacherous unhealthy for the game? Treacherous is unhealthy for the game in the same way that Hey True Nade was unhealthy for the game. Whenever a new box or a new archetype comes out that has a good synergy with True Nade or TTH, which is literally every single deck, because every single deck will benefit from just dropping all of their trap cards and being able to pop 2, or just being able to completely annihilate the back row of your opponent. Every deck synergizes with that. They now have to go in and limit a card, not just limit any card. We saw Elegant Egotist. They limited Elegant Egotist, and guess what? People continue playing one Treacherous and one Elegant anyway. They didn't give a fuck, right? So it has to be a core card or enough limits so that deck can no longer play that limit 2, which usually means that they're hitting their consistency or they're hitting their strength to the point where they can't play those cards anymore, right? So, for example, when the Dark Magician, the first time they nerfed Dark Magician, they hit Dark Illusion. So people just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm dropping my Dark Illusions and I'm playing double Tretch. And that didn't work, so now they have to go back and nerf Rod, nerf all these nerf all these cards in the big nerf, so they don't play Tretch and they kill it at the same time. Same thing with Harpy Lady. You put Elegant, it didn't matter. They still play TTH. And here, it's still a huge problem. It was still a huge problem, to the point where now they have to go back and nerf it again, give them another nerf on top of that, because it's a strong deck that was abusing Tretch that shouldn't have been abusing Tretch. And that's the thing. Limit 2s, from what everyone understands and agrees on, what Limit 2 should be, even Konami said this, what Limit 2 should be is the decks that cannot compete with the Tier 1 decks can play these strong generic cards that can put them in the running to be good. So why the hell in God's 2021 was Harpy Lady sacking people with Treacherous Trap Hole? Why is Destiny Hero sacking people with Treacherous Trap Hole? Why is Melodious probably the second best deck before the ban list, and probably, honestly, the best deck post ban list? Why the hell can they play 2 Treacherous Trap Holes by having Schroberta constantly banish cards from the graveyard, the trap cards from the graveyard, allowing them to use them more and more? It makes 0 sense to me. On top of that, even if all those decks got limit 2s, they would have to limit 2 core cards that the player will not drop. They're going to have to hit something like Mask Change or Celestial or Score, or all these cards that you can't. It would suck if you were a fan of those decks. It would suck to lose those cards. You're losing core cards to your strategy. You have to let them go. All of this can be avoided by simply banning Treacherous Trap Hole, which they failed to do in the latest ban list. And you're thinking, well, why should they? Look at what they said about Hey Trunade. Hey Trunade, they literally said we're banning this card because we got tired of limit 2ing all these decks that came out. Every new deck that came out had to eat a limit 2 because we don't want them to play Hey Trunade. Even decks like Dragoonity. Dragoonity had one okay KC Cup and had to eat a limit because Hey Trunade is just too toxic and oppressive for Duel Links for 4,000 life point meta. So they had to get rid of it. This is the same exact reasoning behind Tretch. Tretch is even worse. It came out so long ago. It came out with spell books, man. Look at this. Look at how long ago Treacherous Trap Hole came out, and it's been relevant since then, except the one time that we actually had a powerful meta, Visions of Ice. Look how far we had to go back to get into this. The only time this wasn't relevant was like when Noble Knight, Desperado, all this was around, and you couldn't TTH because everything would just float. So if you're going to nerf the game constantly, weaken the metagame constantly, then this card just simply cannot exist, man. It's just too strong. It wins games just like in the opening clip. The guy got fucking sacked 2 games in a row. That was a best of 3 that he didn't even get to compete in. That's insanity to me. Anyway. Next topic at hand, Treacherous Trap Hole. It doesn't even have a downside. You're supposed to be able to only play this deck or play this card in decks that can't play traps, which should be a huge downside. But here's the thing. With cards like Book of Moon, for example, being around, you could still have relevant back row that are not trap cards and still have space to play TTH. You could just Book a Moon instead of Kanadi or Floodgate or something like that. You still get the powerful effects of flipping your opponent's monsters face down, but you have the opportunity to TTH. On top of that, monsters that cannot be destroyed, for example, Bloom Diva, can be flipped face down and then followed up with a TTH, thus negating, a lot of their protection, inherent protection from cards like TTH, giving them even more reason to play these cards, right? Or you could just do like Forbidden Chalice, for example, and play Treacherous Trap Hole. The overall traps in this game just aren't that good against TTH. Here's something that's crazy if you ever think about it. Cosmic Cyclone is known to be that card that's just better than Mystical Space Typhoon. But right now, Mystical Space Typhoon is in the meta over Cosmic, and the leading reason is because if you hit another trap card, or if you just hit the Treacherous Trap Hole, you turn off Treacherous Trap Hole and can no longer be treached. So no one wants to play Cosmic because you'd rather just do that instead, which is insanity. If you play the TCG and you came over to Duel Links and people are choosing to play Mystical Space Typhoon over Cosmic, you're just scratching your head going, what the fuck is going on here? This is insane. And that's really what it is. The downside of having to play trap cards is negated. And then you have decks like Melodious, who just banish the trap cards that do end up in their graveyard, including their other Treacherous Trap Hole copies, to play another one. What? So it's just weird, right? It's a weird level of, I don't know, just Konami not wanting to hit Tretch, and they really, 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 really need to. They're going to have to at some point. They only have 2 options. Either one, power creep the game to the point where Tretch is irrelevant, so we have to go back to things like Casitas, Noble Knight, Desperado, decks that do not lose to Treacherous Trap Hole. And if they do that, the game would be so significantly power crept that none of the current decks would compete. That's how far they would have to go. And it doesn't look like Konami wants to do that. So if you don't want to do that, Konami, you're going to have to forbid this card. Ban this card. You have a system in place. You started banning SR cards from the boxes. You have a system where you can trade in cards. Just do it. For the health of the game, please just goddamn do it. I am begging you, no more Treacherous. Boys, leave a comment down below if you agree. If you don't agree, leave a comment down below if you just enjoy the series. It's a fun way to criticize Konami while also jokingly, being angry. Even though I'm actually angry this time. Usually I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna make a giant hill out of a small tiny ant colony. But this is a huge fucking problem, dude. Like, I am so tired of seeing Tretch. Get this shit out of my face. Till next time, boys. I love you. Peace out.